The NYPD always working hard. They're working hard on this one. And the NYPD suffering a record number of injuries this year. Worth noting that 4,600 injuries from violent suspects reported throughout 2024. That's up 13% from just last year, 32% from 2020, and a stunning 60% from 2021. We are grateful today to have Paul Morrow with us, retired NYPD inspector and Fox News contributor. And of course, I bet you have some ideas about why this sadly is occurring to our officers at the NYPD.
Yeah, I would say the common denominator here is going to be a shortage of officers to respond, right? Generally, cops get hurt two ways. You're either tussling with somebody who doesn't want to go, or car accidents, which is very underappreciated. One of the things I used to do when I was working in a precinct as an executive was to just go around and make sure that these guys were wearing their seatbelts, because while it was annoying and it felt very sort of paternal, the bottom line is more cops get hurt and in some cases lose their lives from car accidents than anything else because they're rushing to a scene. Well, when you're short cops, you have people covering more ground. They're going job to job. They got to get there. Some of them are real emergency jobs. As a result, they get into the accidents and they get injured. Fortunately, there hasn't been that many fatalities. But that's the common denominator that I would argue, is that we just don't have enough bodies due to recruitment and retention issues. And that comes out of just, it's not the money. The gig is pretty good these days. It's not that. It really comes down to morale. Nobody takes the job for money.
I'm wondering with the morale part, staggering 60% of felony cases in Manhattan by DA Alvin Bragg were downgraded to lesser charges. How much of an effect does that have on the morale, which then can affect safety?
You always deal with plea bargains, essentially, is what it is, which is they plea it down, the guy takes a lesser charge, and that's how it goes. Then that's how the system keeps operating, because if you charged everything as arrested, the entire system would grind to a halt. There's just too many. The problem is this. In the current system, when you plea these things down and you say, okay, you're in here for a felony robbery, we're going to knock it down to simple assault. Under the bail reform, that means you get right out. So these guys are out in many instances before the paperwork is dry. The cop is still inside processing. The guy walks out the door, and it happens at the precinct level. So it's entirely visible to the police officer who made the arrest. As a result, and I always use this analogy, how would most of us feel, whatever walk of life you work in, if anything you did every day before your shift is over is just completely undone, and then at the same time, the legacy media tells you you're the ones who are the bad guys.
Yeah, there's some.
I was talking to a cop friend over the weekend, and he was telling me that in Jersey that there's a shortage of cops, and I could clearly see that in New York it's the same thing. A lot of people are not signing up for the job, and it's because, honestly, it's because the media, not only the media, but people in general have criticized the cop community. They have criticized the police a lot. They've scrutinized them. They wanted to defund them. They wanted them to go disappear pretty much. And in a sense that obviously we wanted people to, the police to be obviously, good. We wanted them to be reformed. We wanted them to be looked at and held accountable for their actions because they're humans. But at the same time, they're signing up for a job that is almost a thankless job. Like, you have to go and risk your life for somebody else. At the end of the day, you're trying to make this place a safer place, or whatever the case may be. As a police officer, you're trying to help the community. But there's a certain look and a certain stain in the police name that it makes a lot of regular people don't want to be police officers. It makes a lot of people not trust the police officers from what they say about police officers. So I do appreciate the newer officers, the younger officers that are coming in, that are, still trying to keep things safe for their communities. It might not be perfect. It might not always go according to plan, but they're trying their best to at least keep their community safe, and I don't have an issue with that. My only issue is when people with these powers or with the badge now get corrupt, and we go down this whole rabbit hole that we shouldn't have been in the first place, and that's the part that they lose a lot of respect over. Let's continue.
Some polling, recent polling on New York Siena poll. What do you think the most important problem facing New York City? Not particularly shocking here. Crime right at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges, I think it's so frustrating, the rank and file police that are working so hard to serve, and they're facing things like these assaults, but yet there's so much strife in the NYPD right now with Eric Adams facing charges. He's lost a number of his top leaders as well to some of the chaos and corruption issues. And, you know, how does that affect the ranks?
I have to tell you, Molly, this is the biggest corruption scandal that I've seen in New York City in my life.
Wow.
Big statement, I know that. Right now, the media hasn't entirely twigged to it yet. They're going to get there. But in my lifetime, we've had police scandals. They were always the lower ranks, and it was just really venal stuff. I'm not countenancing it, but it was like narcotic stuff, et cetera. They'd arrest a bunch of cops, maybe sergeants, et cetera. The police commissioner had to resign and turn in his phones. The DOJ took his phones. There are so many people in our current government. Everybody seems to be either under investigation or under indictment. The mayor, who's apparently going to get a superseding indictment according to DOJ, he's got now a special officer in D.C. appointed to handle the classified information. We don't know what that's about. His closest aide just got arrested for bribery by the Manhattan DA's office. Her son got money for a Porsche. It goes on and on. I often don't do this, but I'm going to point people to my Substack, okay? opsdesk.org. If you go to that, you can go to that. And the reason I do that is because we just did, coincidentally, a roundup of all the cases, and you see it all in one place, you realize this city is in trouble. The issue is Adams, according to what we see, is the best we're going to get.
Predicting some wild headlines in 2025, that is for sure. Paul Morrow, thank you.
Listen, NYC is definitely corrupt. But, you know, Mayor Adams, I feel like he's trying to do a good job when it comes to crime. The crime has gone down, although the crime is still egregious in New York. It has gone down over the years. And yeah, they're doing some pretty wild stuff too. A police officer, police commissioner, or police chief had to step down because he was accused of paying overtime to one of his police officers for sexual pleasures. And then we had another a few sergeants in a New York county. It wasn't NYC specifically, but it was a New York county. They arrested a black guy and had him in the interrogation room, and they beat the snot out of him, and then he ended up dying off those injuries, and he was handcuffed while this was all happening. The body cam is actually recording these cops doing this. It's corrupt. It's absolutely corrupt. And it's been corrupt. A lot of these places have corruption in their police officers, in their police units. But world still needs police, unfortunately. Because if there was a world without police, oh my God, what would it look like? Could you really imagine? Like, I get it. Some police are corrupt. Some police don't do the right thing. I get it. It's not the majority. Majority of the police officers are actually trying to do their job. They're actually just trying to go home at night. They're chilling. Can you imagine a world without rule? A world without law? People would be doing whatever they wanted. It would be like the purge outside. Everybody's a vigilante. If they want something, they either go steal it or kill somebody for it. Like, it would be sick. A sick place. So that's why I really do give props to the younger generation that are stepping up and saying, you know what? Regardless of what they say about police, regardless of how a lot of people feel about police, we're going to do the job, and we're going to try to do the job to the best of our abilities. And we would hope that they take that responsibility and do the best that they can with it. We don't want to see any crooked stuff. We don't want to see any corruption. We understand that it's a possibility of happening because, you know, we're asking humans to do this job. At the end of the day, humans make mistakes. They're not perfect. But what we can say and what we can do is at least try to hold them accountable. At least do that. And we'll see a better society as a result. But let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all viewership. And as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if y'all are new. Till next time. Peace.